Hello, hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome back. This is the last episode stream of the She-Hulk Attorney at Law show. We're going to be talking about episodes 7, 8, and 9. So I'm very happy to welcome back a very good friend of mine who joined me for the last few streams. So let's welcome in my very good friend, Allie.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Oh, very, very hyped. The last three were top tier episodes.
Totally agree. All right, so I have another really good friend of mine who's joining, and I'm so excited to have him on finally. He's a very cool friend in the comic book community that I met quite a few years ago, and I'm so excited to have him on. So let's welcome in. And I'm so sorry I don't have an intro for you, but this is Freaky Louie.
Hello, true believers. Hi, I know. Allie, whoop, your intro is so cool.
That was all Gabby. She's the one who made it.
I'll make one for you, Louie, at some point. So how are you, Louie?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I know how we feel. Like we've known each other for so long, and we got to hang out maybe like 3 times on stream. Yes, very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm happy you can make it.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about the last 3 episodes of She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I think these 3 were my favorite episodes of the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the whole season as in general, but I think these 3 episodes were like my favorites, definitely.
Absolutely. I think the show, I don't think there was a slow episode. It all just kept going and going, one win after another. But the final 3, they were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and Jen was just knocking them out of the park. Like she was so funny, and her lines were just killer. And the way she was talking to us was so personalized. I really, really appreciated that.
And just the way she would talk, like to us, like breaking the fourth wall, like almost every episode. It was incredible. I loved it so much. So I'm not sure if you're still here, Mars, but this was another friend that was going to join us but couldn't make it tonight. But hello. So I guess we'll start with episode 7, The Retreat.
Yeah.
I'm hurting for you.
Gabby, I remember you and I ended the last one by going, oh, Josh probably isn't okay, but it'd be good if they were just spying on them and Josh was okay. Jen deserves some happiness, right? And then, I think we knew deep in our hearts Josh was not okay, but episode 7 immediately was like, what if Josh is very not okay? I mean, we learned he was even worse, at the end of 8, but sticking to 7 for now, Josh not okay.
Yeah, and I felt so bad for Jen in this episode.
Oh my goodness. It was I think, because every episode of She-Hulk is, I believe, speaking to very important issues that people deal with, especially women and female presenting people. This episode and her self-love, kind of like this is sort of the pinnacle of her accepting herself as She-Hulk. Not to get too far ahead in the episode, but about my favorite part of the whole episode is when she's in the group circle and has her line about the beautiful friend in high school who, and now that is me. I am my own beautiful friend in high school stealing, my own attention. And, that was something.
Really well written.
Louie, how do you feel?
That was like that. Exactly. That scene was really beautiful to open up, just humanize each and every character, and even the boys, how they supported her. It's like, we will find Josh
and then we will kill him.
I love that. Love it. So really, it was really humanizing, and it just the
Mhm.
way well written, I say, because I think anybody can really see that. It's like, wow, no matter what side you're on, you can totally see how she felt. And Josh tricked us all. Like, dang it, Josh, we liked you. Gosh darn it. And he guess he did his job really well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Again, not to get ahead, but I think we rewatched the last 3 episodes in preparation for this last night, and I was telling my partner, I think it's really good that you don't see Josh again in the finale, because that would have
Yeah.
probably detracted from Jen and her character growth, because we all really would have seen her punch his face in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
probably best he just goes off into oblivion
Yeah.
after this. That's probably for the best.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Mhm.
Especially after her group chat with the guys at the retreat.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they made her delete his number and just move on.
Mhm.
I know she searched the whole place for internet when he poured that into one square inch, or whatever she said, like, oh goodness.
Mhm.
And that's the worst too, waiting for the text back. I think everybody feels that too, man. That is
Mhm.
torture. And when they had Miss
Yeah.
Piggy. Yes.
Honestly, the Muppets being canon in the MCU was one of my favorite things, because it sparked
Yes.
conversations,
Yes.
at least in my household, of going, okay, if the Muppets exist in the MCU, like, which Avengers do you think have gone on the Muppets? Do you think Captain America has a Muppets episode? Like, certainly he does. Tony Stark probably does too, and it probably never got aired because he probably did some non-family friendly things.
I would
Yes.
love to see that. That would be great.
I hope that exists. I hope somewhere in the Marvel universe that, people like Steve Rogers went on the Muppets.
Yes. Like Sesame Street or something. He's like, come on, Madonna.
Like, besides the whole like group session there, like there was, like, at the end of the episode, the Dan Slott reference relating to that run with the tow
Hold on,
truck
I'm
and
just checking my
everything.
notes on that episode. Sorry.
I always love that because even
No
the truck
worries.
driver kind of looked like him too. The
I
tow truck
know.
driver kind of looked like,
I was like,
it
is
looks
that
like
Dan
him.
Slott? That was great.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy seeing Blonsky again, and
That
how
was
he
really
was
good.
trying to help Jen through everything.
And I like how, that's the episode where they start laying the groundwork for, has Blonsky completely, really turned over a new leaf? Because they do start throwing out the question of, did that inhibitor, did it really malfunction? Because that feels like that old gun on the mantle place. You're not going to show it unless it goes off. We're not going to say the inhibitor broke unless he turned it off.
Yeah. Like my goat got caught. I had to say my favorite goat.
But
That was funny. Because I was like, you could be lying.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Emil and his haikus and his retreat and his very the life coach persona suits him very well.
It really does. Really does.
Yeah. And I
Really
love
do.
the actor. Tim Roth he
Yeah.
did a great job.
Tim Roth does an incredible job with Abomination, because in one scene, he is the terrible, scary big guy, and then the next he is just this little crunchy hippie man, and he's got some yerba mate tea for you, and let's go have a chat in the yurt.
Yeah. Just cool, calm, and collected.
Yes.
And then they just gave us, that charming group out at the did they call it the ranch? I'm sorry, the retreat, that's what they called it. Sorry. Out at the retreat as well, and just sprinkled with little minor comic book characters. And I think that was one of the real charms of this show as well, how they would just kind of sprinkle in C-list heroes that nobody really cares what you do with them, so you can do anything with them.
Yeah, you can't get mad. It's like, really, you're gonna be mad about Gila guy? Come on.
Yeah.
That was great. He was great, even when he did the little electricity thing with the sword.
Oh my goodness, him and Vanville and their dynamic, that was
We need to separate you two.
It's hilarious.
Now, admittedly, I geeked out when we met Porcupine in that scene because my brain went to Jessica Drew's partner. I am so sorry. My brain, Roger. My brain went, oh my God, it's Roger. It's Roger. And then I did a Google search and I figured out there was another porcupine besides Roger that I wasn't aware of. And the suit is very clearly the other porcupine, Alexander Gentry. And I was like, and I wanted it to be Roger. I wanted it to be Spider-Woman's boyfriend. I mean, they're broke up now in the comics, but not that was my choice.
Oh, and he used to babysit too, right? Did he help babysit her
Yeah,
son?
yeah, he was basically, because he was dating Jessica from very early in the child's life. He was
Mhm.
basically dad to Gary Drew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted to be Gary Drew's dad, not this Alexander dude. What do you mean there's two porcupines? That was my piece of disappointment.
That would have been
Agreed.
amazing if that was really him, though.
And I guess, obviously we weren't going to get Jessica as a result because she's tied up with Sony, MCU,
Yeah.
that thing. But I just wanted my little slice of,
You really can like smell when he took off his face. It's like it's funny how he did that. Like I feel like I can smell it.
But like getting back to that group scene, like I like how the guys like really made Jen like feel accepted within the group, and they're like giving her advice, and like I think Porcupine said we can't control what others do, which is definitely true because it's, and sometimes it's hard to accept. Like there have been points in my life where I find it difficult to like accept what others have thought or have done to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also say it hurts when people reject us because it reminds us of the times that where we reject ourselves. So
I like that. I feel like this episode, it is very heavy on the self-love, but it doesn't feel corny or cheesy necessarily. Like the retreat as a whole feels a little corny and cheesy, but like the member of the wrecking crew who says, I take radical accountability for my actions. So like they're really hamming it up with it. Anybody who's been to a location like that or an event like that, they were being very corny with it, but I enjoyed that it didn't feel over the top forced, that Jen, the moral in the end was self-love, and it came out really well. It flowed well through the show.
Yeah. And like not just in this episode, but like as the season went on, we saw Jen like accepting She-Hulk more and more, but like especially in like this episode in general.
I think one of the things the show has done very well is that it has remained a complicated situation throughout the whole show. It has never been cut and dry and easy for Jen, because even though she is getting attached to the She-Hulk persona and the She-Hulk name, we're still acknowledging that it's a little awkward that she got the name because of Bruce. But things don't have to be 100% black and white. Just because the fact that she got the name from, as a result of being Bruce's cousin, that doesn't mean that automatically makes it all bad. But just because she likes the name doesn't automatically make that completely okay. There are shades of gray that exist in Jen accepting herself. And I think that's really important, because I don't think most people are never going to be 100% happy with themselves, but you can still accept and love yourself knowing that you are a shade of gray. And I think this show really nails that.
Oh yeah. Especially when he says, when Ross says to her, like, even the people that come in your life, even when they hurt you, is still a lesson. I was like, oh gosh, that's so true. That's so deep.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of knew, it's like, oh, Josh is bad. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how like immediately after that scene, it cuts to 3 days earlier, and then that's when we find out that Josh is Very bad.
Really, really bad. I still think, like I said, I think we saw the real depths of it at the end of episode 8 when we found out that he recorded their time together. But even just, you see him take the photo of her as he leaves, and my stomach just dropped.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that they were going to actually, go there with it, go that far. And then episode 8 was like, well, what if we went even farther? But I think the whole thing, like, Jen was very clearly really violated, but it's still, the writing team wrote this in a way that it still felt very respectful. Like, I have seen TV shows and movies do scenes like this to women before, but it often feels like there is like a leering gaze behind the camera work, behind the writing with it. But this show handles it with such respect and dignity, that it felt more like representation and less like exploitation of Jennifer as a character. And I really appreciate how they did that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So we got Katie did.
We do love Shades of Grey with Hulks.
Yeah.
Also, cheeky pun, because when she goes Grey Hulk in the Mariko Tamaki series is my favorite She-Hulk comic, but
So sorry, just looking over my notes here.
You're okay. But yeah, even just going back to Jen's little chat about how, she is her own popular friend from high school. I really appreciate her talking about how she needs somebody who wants She-Hulk and Jen, who isn't, hanging around waiting for Jen. That was, I don't know, that filled me with a great sadness, that speech of hers.
Yeah.
It tore my heart out a little bit, because
Me too.
and I think, again, that's something that a lot of people can probably relate to, especially in, this day and age of social media and stuff, because a lot of us project an image of, most people on social media are going to project more of a image than we are in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And you make friends, you meet people, and sometimes they don't care for the real you who isn't switched on and happy all the time. And you got to be, so lucky as to find some people who want to be around for all parts of you. And obviously there are other examples and ways you're going to find that out in the world as well. But I do feel like a big one can be the social media presence in current day and age as well.
Most definitely. Especially even as a cosplayer too. Like it's totally relatable.
Yeah, no, obviously it happened more often before I visibly had a partner online, but I would meet and talk to people and go, let's meet up at this con. And we would meet up at this con and they'd kind of get weird or whatever. And yeah, but I got pretty lucky and I found somebody who I did meet through cosplay, and they continued to like the part of me that is just a normal person too.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And I just really like the line of, when, sorry. Yes, they didn't make the audience what Katie did, saying that they didn't make the audience complicit in violating Jen during the sequence in the end of season 8. And I do fully agree. That's very good. Everybody, does seem, it's, nobody wanted that. Nobody needed to see that. It's respectful to Jen, respectful to the audience. They show us enough. Oh, sorry?
No, sorry. It might even be more eye-opening to people who don't even think that way. Because, for me, I guess as a male, we don't even think of that scenario in any ways. Look at this creep. That's the most insane thing you even think of. And it probably happens more than we would ever want to. But that's very eye-opening to people like me that just that's not even a thought in my head, things like that. Who would steal my information? Who cares? And that's just even stealing information from her phone. Oh, dude, that is, wow. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I think you've brought up a really great point, is that why shows like this are really important. And I do fully believe that, with She-Hulk, the target audience is largely women. I think the humor, especially, probably millennial women primarily. But
Yeah.
it has a broader appeal. And I think it's really important that it has the broader appeal to be not only an enjoyable show, but bringing awareness to people like yourself who are open to hearing these opinions, learning these things. And it's a voice for women in this way. Yeah. No, thank you for bringing that up. That's really.
Yeah, so much. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just love Jen so much. Like her entire character, she completely owns Tatiana owns that character so much. She's like Tony Stark, pretty much. Like, you own this. This is you.
I agree. It's been
Yeah.
so delightful to see her with every goodness. She was the absolute perfect casting for this. When they were first announcing who's going to be She-Hulk, I had my own hopes based on, some of the other rumors that were flying around that I'm sure would have done a lovely job. But I know Stephanie Beatriz was openly campaigning for the role, and I love her on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So she was my please, Stephanie Beatriz. And I'm sure she would have done lovely. But Tatiana has killed it and delivered emotionally in a way that I don't know how many other actresses could have pulled off what she has in this show. I think this show is one of the most important things to exist in the world, and maybe I am a little biased. I think this show has the potential to give us world peace.
Yeah, baby. I love it. Even her She-Hulk voice, like, it sounds so natural coming off of her. Like, the way she does her lines is really real. I don't know if she's done voice work before, but my goodness, like, she is really, really good.
The only thing I know that she did before was Orphan Black, personally.
Yeah.
I'm sure she has a more extensive list than that, but I don't know of any voice work. But, hopefully if we see She-Hulk in any of the upcoming Marvel cartoons or games or stuff, hopefully they bring her in for that as well, because she really delivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. So are you guys ready to talk about episode 8 now?
Yeah, I think we've covered most things.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to talk about for episode 7. I think we pretty much got the gist of it.
The line, "I'm hurting for a yurtin."
Yeah.
I just need to say that before we move on.
I kind of wanted to see what she felt or saw in that, with visions or something she got out of there. I feel like that would have been cool. I guess you get whatever. That would have been fun.
True, but to a certain degree, by not seeing that, you can kind of put yourself in her shoes.
Cool. Like that.
Episode 8 is so good. I think it is my favorite, which is difficult to say because, as I said, I think every episode is golden. But episode 8 it brought me so much joy until the last 2-3 minutes, at which point it broke my heart and I stared at a wall for about half an hour after it ended. But it gave me such a range of emotions, unlike any other 30-minute sitcom has ever given me. So I'll let you guys get into it with that one, but
right.
I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I remember messaging you after I watched that episode. Like, OMG, episode 8.
Yeah, no, I think I put the call up on my Instagram to please talk to me about episode 8 after it came out, and my inbox that night just kind of popped off with a lot of OMGs, with a lot of that was amazing, but what did I just see?
That's kind of how I felt.
And this episode, it also gives us leapfrog in that opening sequence, which is one of the most. Because again, I brought this up when we met Mr. Immortal several episodes back, but I love that now we're just getting to see people who are powered or are doing this vigilante thing on a ground level, that since the Avengers happened and everybody kind of realized this is a thing we exist with now, there's just people like, Eugene out here doing their own thing on a street level, going mostly under the radar until something like this happens. And this is something you never get a taste of in the movies, but why this show, I just want it to go, forever, essentially, giving us a taste of what's happening on the ground level with everyone as stakes get higher and higher in the big movies.
Mhm.
Even his costume was great. Like Frogman's costume looks great.
Man, I just all of my love for every costume in this show, but Frogman, that bright green, the big eyes on
The
top.
eyes, like, oh, it was perfect. I was rooting for him until he became a jerk.
No, absolutely, as you should be. I still hope we see him back in some form in future because he's just this outrageous, obnoxious little dude. I love him.
What was this? His leap away or something?
Rip,
When he
rip
shot off his
it,
rockets.
ribbit, and rip it.
I think I was kind of counting when I was rewatching last night, and I think it's like 4 or 5 times people say that throughout this episode. Because even people just like Jen and Holloway say it at each other when talking about him.
Man,
I love how many times they sneak that in.
that's good.
And how he calls himself the guard frog, and the guys are like, okay, so that's your superhero name. He's like, no, I'm talking like I am the guard frog. I am Leapfrog.
Yeah. It's so funny.
And then, of
So,
course,
like-
like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it opens like with him like telling this whole story to Jen because he wants to sue the manufacturer, which we find out that the manufacturer is Luke. And Jen's like, "Oh crap!"
I love
Yeah,
that Luke was
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying that I love that Luke was a consistent character through this show. He was such a star from the moment he walks on screen earlier, and then that we just kind of keep seeing him. Just a delight. This show gave us so many wonderful minor characters.
I feel so bad. She has to keep working on these cases she doesn't want to. It's like, oh, didn't they sign the non-compliant forms? Like, how about me? Like, she has no choice in it at all.
I do love her conversation with Holloway when she's asking about like, do I have to? And he's like, no, but you've done something more personal than this, and you know his parents have money, so you gotta do it.
Yeah. Didn't really give her a choice again.
No, but that feels very in line with the Dan Slott comics and what times were like for Jen when she was working for GLK&H, which again, if we get, multiple seasons in future, that will make it all the more satisfying if we ever get to see Jen break away and start her own practice like she does at points in comics. Or like currently in comics, like where she's working for Mallory Book. I'd love to see her and Mallory like open a joint practice in MCU in future.
That'd be great. Because I know like a couple weeks ago we were talking about Mallory and when she was like the episode that she was introduced and like how like amazing she was.
Yeah, me and my whole rant about the reckoning of Mallory Book. I was blessed with Mallory Book in this show, and since she has appeared, my skin is clear and my problems are solved. And then you get Jen going to Luke.
Is Mallory the face that doesn't lose a case? Is that her nickname?
Sorry?
Mallory, she's a face that doesn't lose a case. Is that her nickname?
That sounds right in the comics.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember.
She's much more stone cold in comics than we've gotten with this Mallory, but
yeah,
I've really enjoyed the Mallory that they've given us.
But like even when like at the end of this episode, we get to see a little bit of her like at the gala. And, like,
hold on, I wrote down her line. Yeah. It is twice the work, half the recognition. Because when asked what it's like being a female lawyer, twice the work, half the recognition. Constantly being asked what it's like being a female lawyer. Iconic. Tattoo that on my forehead. Except I'm not a lawyer, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I freaking loved it.
So true, though. Like,
well, that's what kind of
or something. It's so funny. They were asking like they were a beauty pageant or something. I was like, this is like so hard, like lining it up. I was so glad for her line just to knock it all out. That was great.
It's so uncomfortable in a hysterical way. I fully agree. They kind of start to set this up though, even back in episode 7, when Nikki's like, "Oh, you've been nominated for Female Lawyer of the Year." And then, you know, the very finale as Jen's walking into the courthouse even has the dude who asks her questions about, you know, being She-Hulk and are you coming for people as a lawyer or as, you know, the Hulk? And then he's like, and who are you wearing to court today at the end? And that's like, that's the note the show ends on. The show reminds you it's all about satire, about existing as a professional woman.
Love it.
Yeah. So, like, can we just talk about this court scene though? Because
Oh my
it was like one
goodness.
of my favorite parts of
Yes.
this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt's entrance. I knew that this was going to be, because I'm just going to say now, I think this is my favorite iteration of Daredevil we've seen. I love Charlie Cox. I really enjoyed him in the Netflix series. I enjoy him, I think, a little more in this. And I think the reason, because I kind of managed to boil it down last night. In the original Netflix series, when he is Matt Murdock, he is charming and funny. You see why he gets the ladies the way he does. But then when he puts on the Daredevil mask, that man is gone. The broody man is here, and the broody man's gonna get you.
Yeah.
But in this show, when he puts the mask on, he's still charming. And he's gonna get you.
Yeah.
But he is still charming, funny Matt Murdock. And I think I like the version that continues to be that man even when the mask is on.
Yes, truly. He like his swagger is just undeniable. And it was 10 times more this time. Like, how are you more swaggers than you were the last whole 3 seasons of Daredevil? I can't believe it.
I'd like to think it's just because they set Charlie Cox loose and told him, do your thing, man.
Seriously. Oh my goodness. I met him before. He is so tall and I didn't know he was British. I'm like, what? Didn't expect the accent at all.
I've always thought he was the perfect Daredevil, and I was so thrilled when he was coming back. But now I'm even more thrilled seeing. I hope that they continue with this characterization of him in his future iterations of the MCU, because this was perfect. Because he's not. Because we also get not to fast forward past the court scene, because I do want to talk about that. But you get the bit with him at the bar where they sit down. He's like, "Oh, you know, you can help people in the court, or if the court fails them, you can help them other ways." And it reminds you that Matt Murdock is a little unhinged when it comes to his vigilante justice. Yes, this man is, he's good and all the ladies love him and She-Hulk thinks he's something special. But he not gonna always do the good thing. Sometimes his vigilante idea is not the right answer. It's just Matt Murdock wants to beat down on somebody, so he's gonna beat down on somebody. So we have maintained the mild again, I don't want to use the same word unhinged again, but I do feel like he comes unhinged occasionally. And it's like, Matt, no, Matt, don't.
Yes, like just give me 30 minutes with these guys. Like, why do you need 30 minutes to beat them up?
That's not the right thing to do. But sometimes the vigilantes are a little more interesting when they're not always morally right. So we see that he has kept the Daredevil moral compass. And I hope we continue to see him portrayed in exactly this episode as we see him. But back to the court scene, sorry.
No worries. So turns out that Matt ends up being Luke's lawyer, which we later find out that he ended up making his suit for him, obviously, and that he owed him a favor. So he came all the way to California from New York to represent him. But like, I really loved how like Jen and Matt were like going back and forth, like between for this case. It was just really awesome to watch.
Oh, it was very good. And of course, because you've seen Daredevil's helmet, you know, in the box in Luke's office a few episodes prior, of course, you know why Matt is fighting so hard for. No, you don't need his client list. You just don't need that. That's not important. People could get hurt.
Even the mention of Sokovia being repealed.
Yes,
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, because that's pretty wild. And I'm sure there's some obvious reason that that's happened that I'm kind of forgetting at the moment. But that's incredibly interesting. Yeah, especially as you're seeing
tiny nugget. Like, there you go.
And that was an interesting thing. But of course, you kind of have to have that happen for this episode to work.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in how it's gonna like play out in the future, like MCU movies,
Mhm.
especially with the Captain America movie coming and
Yep. New
everything.
World Order. It's going to be some choices.
Hmm.
I enjoy that what eventually got Leapfrog is, in fact, Matt's heightened senses and smelling the jet fuel. He's just a very good lawyer.
Hmm.
It was
like,
just
hell yeah, he's jet fuel. He's so dumb. I love it.
And Jen's like, what? Why would you do that?
I feel bad because now isn't he out as a costume maker for Heroes anyways? Just even though he just came out to court, even though he won, people still know they can put two and two like together now that he creates these costumes for people. Like, isn't that already
Interesting.
trouble?
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I feel like that was known by like a certain group of people.
Yeah,
However, I guess it would depend on how public the case was,
yeah.
because I would
Yeah.
imagine Leapfrog, he's an idiot, but wouldn't he maybe potentially want his identity to be a bit on the down low? So he probably, his father might have, used some money to keep the case a bit quieter
Yeah.
rather than letting it
Probably.
become public news. But that is interesting if Luke is just even known now. But even if people know who Luke Jacobson is, because when they get to the gala, they're talking about the dress being a Luke Jacobson. So
Ah.
maybe people are already aware that Luke makes costumes for Heroes, but Luke is just uncontactable unless you know a guy.
Yeah.
You have to buy
Like
an
the client
voluntary
list
switch.
is like private.
Exactly. The client list is private, and if you're good enough to get an outfit from Luke, you know how to get a hold of him. If you don't know how to get a hold of Luke, you don't need anything from him. You're good.
Yeah.
I know, she
What
was
were
so
you gonna
mad.
say,
Like,
Louis?
who's this guy? She was so mad when he first came up.
Yeah.
Thought she had him. It's like, what? You didn't even tell me that. That was great.
I did greatly appreciate that entire sequence. That and the She-Hulk by Titania courtroom scenes, I think, were my two favorite courtroom bits in this entire series.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I just loved like seeing them both together, like doing their lawyer stuff and just butting heads with each other. It was great.
Very much.
I think them in the courtroom against each other brought a lot of similar energy to the Charles Soule chapter where they face off against each other as well. However, you're getting this time that energy of She-Hulk being very impressed that this man, can do what he can do, can keep pace with her in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate how well this episode presents Matt and Jennifer as equals and, on different sides doing different things with their abilities, but that, in all senses, they meet as equals, not as one above the other. He is a more established hero than her, but he is not the cool hero looking down on her or anything like that. And I think that's what kind of makes this, the most successful of Jen's relationships in this show is that she and Matt come to each other as equals throughout this entire episode.
Yeah, exactly. We got comic book G-Spot in the house. Hey,
Hi.
Robert.
Hey, buddy. Man.
But like immediately after that, we see Jen at the bar, and she ends up having that conversation with Matt. And like you said, he told her that she could do good as Jennifer Walters and as She-Hulk in different ways. And I love their like chemistry with each other, like how they're like their banter. Like,
she even asked, like, you guys are feeling this too, right? I was like, that was great.
Those are some of the best parts of her fourth wall breaks, or her going to the audience like, you feel this, right? This is happening. And I was kind of like, oh my goodness, they're going there, because that's not happened in comics, but I'm really on board for something that's not happened in comics. Please happen.
Like, she
The two
really says
actors-
what we're thinking. It really amazes me how they write that ahead of time. Like, exactly what we're thinking. Jen just said it. Like, whoa, like that's how I would say that. So really, really well done.
I think the writers of this show have an impeccable ability to foresee how people are going to react to so many aspects of it, both in writing how Jennifer interacts with the audience and even how intelligentsia and other negative sources react to She-Hulk. Like, they almost definitely wrote that Shrek line before the trailer dropped and everybody decided to call, She-Hulk Fiona or Shrek. They almost certainly wrote that before that happened. They knew.
Yeah. And they knew exactly how a lot of people would react to just the show in general. And they're like poking fun at it, like throughout the whole thing.
It was so real. I was like, this is not made up. Like, they literally taken from the headlines kind of thing. Like, this is so exactly how we were doing it.
But this was made months or a year, however long before the headline even happened. Also, I just want to note real quick that at the bar when he sends her over the green apple teeny, that just made me a little happy because kind of my weekly tradition was I would make myself an apple teeny and watch She-Hulk. But I called it a smashel teeny.
Yeah.
That was my weekly Thursday night. I have dinner. I have made a smashel teeny and I am going to enjoy this show now.
Wow.
And then they put it in the show and I was like, oh, that's my She-Hulk drink.
Yeah. Hey. What is it, Legalese or Legalese?
Legalese, which is an excellent name for a legal bar.
Yes.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy her conversation with Matt so much about, the secret double life of Matt Murdock. And, obviously they're dancing around the thing and everybody's waiting for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as I mentioned previously, Matt insinuating, maybe if you can't convict someone, you should just go beat them up. And you're like, yes, but also no.
So awesome. The conflict images? No, we're good.
But like immediately after that, they kind of go their separate ways and they're kind of thinking like they will never see each other again, probably. And like Jen gets a text from Todd, the guy with the She-Hulk fetish. And so she goes to meet him and like it wasn't even a legal issue. He just probably made up an excuse just to see her.
Oh my god. My favorite thing, because admittedly it's one of my favorite things to do when men try to brag at me, is She-Hulk when he goes, the $1 million spear, and she just keeps a straight face and goes, Every time in my life when people try to, obviously people telling you about a cool accomplishment or something is one thing and being excited for them, but when people are clearly just trying to brag, my reaction is also kind of just go,
Yeah.
It's like I knew I collected the coolest stuff. Like,
yep.
He was so
agree.
maximum cringe. Like, he did it so well.
What's his line about nobody is collecting African stuff on my level? And you're just like, like my entire body recoiled.
Well, even how he says, like, I thought I was a 24-hour service. Like, the way he said that, I was like, that's so good privilege. Like, you.
I'm like, really, man?
There's no choice ever. Like, her job rules her life. Like, it bugs me to death.
Meet Todd, the pinnacle of privilege.
Yes, my goodness.
I think this scene was just to, in case you didn't dislike him enough from previous episodes, we're going to make this white man loudly say Wakanda forever in the middle of a bar until your spirit leaves your body because you're so uncomfortable with him.
Exactly.
Also, calling bull on his entire studied in Wakanda thing, because it's only been incredibly recently in the MCU that T'Challa opened the borders for people to come in and share with the world through his programs and things. So, Todd, you look a bit old to have been part of any of T'Challa's programs. And I think you grew up a little too rich for these programs too, buddy.
Surprised he's alive. They're coming after for that spear. I'm like, you lucky you survived, buddy.
Man, wouldn't that be a great bit? The end of Wakanda Forever is just the Dora Milaje coming back for the spear. Like, that's the after credit scene of Wakanda Forever. Is freaking Todd walking into his apartment and there's a Koye with a knife at his throat while the other take the spear back and they all like hop out the window like, later, loser.
Because they are scary.
like-
And the Winter Soldier show, like, wow, they really ran through that one. Like, that was intense. So I was like, dude, you're not gonna survive them. They come for that. You better.
But like he mentioned that he bought it at an auction too, and like that made me think of the beginning of Hawkeye.
Yes, excellent
And
point.
that auction full of like relics and stuff that we've seen in the Marvel universe. So, I mean, I don't know if that's the same place that he might have gotten it. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a really good point. Could be similar, could be several of those going on underground, but yeah, that entire sequence with Todd is very good. Love seeing her just coolly pick up the wine and move it away as he tries to serve it to her.
Just we're not
Her
doing
attempt
that.
to remain professional without actually telling him until he calls her babe, and she does in fact have to tell him to take a long walk off a short pier, more or less.
Yeah. And that she's still billing him for the whole hour.
Yeah, that was
that's a good
awesome.
All even funnier because it's kind of implied Mallory is his lawyer, not Jen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's right.
And I feel like
so,
oh, sorry.
well, I was gonna say, like, after that scene, she like gets back home and like she looks exhausted, and like immediately Eugene calls her in a panic and just someone's attacking me.
Oh, and you can hear the noises on top of his car, and you just know. You just know.
We all know who it was at that point.
And I love how violent he is. He's just smashing the windows, like, doesn't care. He's a devil.
He is a wild man, but such a fun character for it.
Oh, yes. She's like, can you blame me that your dog dressed like a devil? Like, that guy.
The way my heart soared when out the door, Jen stops and decides to grab her super suit from Luke, which I'm currently convinced, since Luke had told her he was never going to work with her again, she was primarily choosing to wear because it was one of her last pieces of clothing from Luke. And I think also it was a bit of a, she's coming to terms with She-Hulk and like, I get to do some heroing, I should wear it. But I also think there was an element, I miss Luke and I want to wear my Luke clothes. Bit of column A, bit of column B, perhaps. And of course, I'd been waiting the whole show for that suit. The whole show, because I've been trying to recreate it since March when the first image is leaked. So you can imagine I'm like near vibrating in my chair.
Yes. I love it.
Looks so good though. Like,
it's incredible. It's incredible, and it's pretty close to the leaked images, which is very good because I was a bit worried because those were for merchandise, and sometimes merchandise photos are made based on slightly earlier designs, and they're not usually a huge difference, but sometimes by the time the final product comes out, it's just a little different. And boy, was I a little scared. But I mean, by that time I did already have this little thing, if you can see it on my camera, it's the Marvel Legends figure. So I was like pretty sure that I was close in my designs. But really watching the show, I've only decided to make one real design change to my suit that I've made, 90% done. I need to just buckle down and finish it. But so getting to see that suit, that was a big moment for me.
I love it.
And also in the same scene, we get to see Daredevil.
Daredevil suit. Oh, that red and yellow suit. I was so thrilled when we found out that was going to be the colors he was wearing, because I love a callback to a bright early comic suit.
Pulls it off so well. The way the mask and the back part, I'm like, this looks so better than the last one somehow.
Again, credit to the design team on this show. They managed to make a mustard yellow and ketchup red suit.
Yes, it works.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yes.
And the choreography on the fight sequence that follows is very good.
Oh yeah.
And of course you get more banter as they go, and you're just like,
Well, even when she grabbed them and like took the mask off, like that looks so good. Like that really looks like She-Hulk's picking you up and taking your mask off. He's like, oh gosh, like, it's me,
He's
Jen.
like, no.
I love that
Like,
she
you could
stops
be
him with the thunderclap as well. Because the
Yes.
audience knows when she's lining up to do that, oh, this is going to mess Matt up. Him in particular.
Yeah.
This hurts most people, but that man's not going to be able to get around after this.
He's like, I used to be able to.
And also the bit where she's like, and are you like the Gold Devil or something? And then it starts playing the Daredevil theme.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes. That made me so happy.
I know,
Singing
right?
same.
I'm very okay if they keep that theme as his theme, much like the X-Men
have to.
themes and the Spider-Man themes have become like iconic, unchanging themes. I'm cool with Daredevil's entering that realm of this is just his theme. No matter
Yes.
what universe we jump into, this is Daredevil's theme.
It has to be. Because it's so good. Like it's become really iconic, I think, for him.
It's very good. It's really good.
And also I like that the amount of acrobatic skills that we got to see from Daredevil too.
Him crawling down the side of the parking lot. Oh,
He's like, all right, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the part where you start going, so Jen, when are you She-Hulk smashing that?
I love it. I even like to see when she shrunk down. Like, it looks good on her still too. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah. I really love how much of we got to see Jen as a person in the suit in this show.
Mm-hmm.
It was real good.
Well, it's, especially because them, like, I like her being happy. Like, She-Hulk, she's cool. But to see Jen happy next, talk to somebody, I'm like, oh, she deserves all the things.
Yes.
And so, yeah. I like seeing as we get through. I think that's a really good part about this episode is that we get to see her for, up until around the end of the episode, just be comfortable as both Jens after the retreat episode. That she's happy to be the Hulk. She wears the costume and feels good about it. But she's also very comfortable in her regular Jen skin. And you feel like, Matt doesn't look at her differently despite which one she is. I mean, not that he can see the difference, but I assume based on his sort of echolocation, them calling it echolocation and making fun of that. I assume he can hear the differences when she's She-Hulk versus when she's Jen, kind of versus where the voice is coming from, how the voice sounds, things like that.
Yeah.
But that he doesn't really treat her any different. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Even her line was great, like She-Hulk smash. Like, oh, dude, that was cool. Delivered it.
And I love how his somewhat secret lair was called the lily pad.
Oh my goodness.
With a big old sign.
Subtle, just
I appreciate
so secret.
that Luke there too, and that Luke's like defense is to start just ripping people apart. That like Luke and his burns are incredibly iconic. And his whole bit with his bit with Leapfrog about, I don't know who told you could pull off this color, but you should go back to them. I can't remember exactly what he says, if he says slap them or something.
Shoot them.
Is it shoot them? I couldn't remember if it was shoot them, how hard he went about it.
But like that whole sequence with them on the roof, like looking at like all the goons or henchmen like in the area there. Matt saying to Jen like, there's difference between goons and henchmen, and like how he could hear all their heartbeats, and he said there's 25 of them in there, and she's like, you can hear their heartbeats? That's crazy.
I just love hearing some goons. Like, it just comes off so well.
Very fun. I appreciate how you see the parallels of their stealth versus smash approach in this one. And again, like both valid, both good ways to come at this, but very different.
Yeah, her property damage is so high up. I know.
Oh my goodness! Because I gotta tell you, I was in fact questioning when she threw the car in the parking lot before, and I was like, Jen, that is uncalled for, honey.
It's a very expensive car at that.
Yeah, But I think this is all sort of part of her starting to accept the Hulk and maybe get a little over enthusiastic about it because she's so happy to be this and to do this, which is something that I think we see in comics a lot, is Jen getting so about, well, yeah, I'm the Hulk, and while she's always in more control than Bruce, sometimes her ego goes on a little runaway and she does something like throw an expensive car when she really didn't need to. But I think it also kind of comes back to what we talked about with the wedding episode, where her spoiling her friend's wedding, whether the friend was a jerk or not, wasn't okay. And it's okay for She-Hulk to be a hero who isn't perfectly morally, doesn't make great, wonderful decisions all the time. You know, I feel like if any, you know, Thor threw a car, nobody would think anything of it. Nobody would go, oh, property damage Thor. Thor doesn't care. So it's nice to have a female hero who's out here not having to be perfect all the time. And then you get the cute little bit at the end where Matt's like, hey, you threw that car. And she's like, I'll go leave a note.
Yeah.
She is still Jen.
Yes.
I think I appreciate how She-Hulk is, while a very good person, imperfect in this show. But we don't dwell on it or make it like a major character flaw, because I feel like often when we have female characters who have character flaws, we spend so much of the show going, she's like this, but it's still okay. And the show doesn't say that to us at any point. She just is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I think it makes it feel more real. Like it really
exactly.
Yeah.
It makes her feel like a very realistic woman in this show.
Yeah. And again, that's seems like what Marvel does very well, is make characters that we can relate to a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I said it the first week we had this talk, but I think it's just great that we have such a bigger variety of female characters now in the MCU, and Natasha no longer has to carry representation for all women on her back alone. And it can be some women relate to Natasha, some women relate to Wanda, some women relate to Jennifer, and that's fantastic. And you know what? And there will be other people who relate to these characters as well who aren't women.
And we also have more females coming in the future too, and I'm so excited.
Oh boy, am I excited to see more of Clea in the next Doctor Strange installments. Oh boy.
Yes.
Plus some other women coming in, and even some women who aren't headliners that we've met who are really great. I loved Layla from Moon Knight so much. She was fantastic.
Yeah, big time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then you know, the next part of the episode blesses us with a new hallway fight, but one that's well lit enough that we can see it. Because as much as I love the Netflix Daredevil show, there's a lot of it you can't see.
No.
And this show's like, what if we lit it in blue instead of just black? And I was like, oh, bless you, She-Hulk creation team. You always know what we need.
Yes.
And he's got
I like how he
oh yeah, on the retractor.
That was great.
You best believe, you know, because I've been working on the She-Hulk cosplay the whole time. And like this whole show and his banters with Jen as the show goes on, I just keep turning my head to my fiance and like, you want a Daredevil suit? You want a Daredevil suit, honey? You can get some Daredevil suit?
Do it.
You've never showed any interest in that before, but it's a good suit, right? You like it, huh? Yeah?
Come on. There's even a breathing hole right here. It's perfect.
But like when they finally reach like the main like area there with all the goons and stuff, I like how Daredevil's like beating the crap out of all the guys, and then Jen's just trying to talk to Eugene like, you just gotta stop.
Yep, Jen's just holding off the goons, not hurting anybody. And she's like, we'll plead insanity, and like Matt's giving commentary on it. And you know, obviously Eugene starts to go like, you're a lawyer too? And he's just a fan of legal dramas.
Yeah. Did you notice how he like changed his voice too?
I didn't notice that, but that's right. iconic. That entire sequence is just, yeah, again, I know I've just said, but I cannot get over the incredible chemistry between Jen and Matt in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I would never see that coming. You know, the comic books, I would have never thought to put them together.
No, and the thing is, I don't think
put them against each other.
Yeah.
They've only interacted a very small handful of times in comics too.
Warriors, like, come on.
Yeah.
They should fight more, guys.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something we're gonna see in comics anytime soon because She-Hulk's currently having a thing with Jack of Hearts, and I found out yesterday that Daredevil and Elektra just got married. So
cool.
which is fantastic. But I'm like,
Yeah.
could you write maybe one flashback comic where She-Hulk and
Yes.
Matt happened maybe one night 10 years ago? Can I have
Yes.
a comic about it?
Like
I don't want
this,
a comic that interferes with what's currently happening because that would be skeezy.
yeah.
But give me a comic where it happened years ago, please.
Yes, there's so much history
Yeah.
we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Write me a team-up comic based in the past.
That would be
6 or
cool.
12-issue miniseries
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
about one time they fought something together.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Be very good.
Like maybe they met even younger before they even had their powers, kind of thing. Like they were just
Interesting.
Mm.
Law school. They would have gone to different law schools, but is there a way you could? I don't know enough about law school to know if there's a way that they could have met at some event
Yeah,
or
like
something.
law camp.
That would be very good. But yeah, Leapfrog was a fantastic. I don't know. He's not a hero. He's not a villain. He's just Leapfrog.
Yeah.
I appreciate the selfish little dude greatly, and what he brought to this episode was pretty fun.
Can you give me a lady with a British voice? Like, that was great. It's like, oh, what a nice name drop. And you can't blame him. You can be Iron Man in that universe. Why wouldn't you be? Like everybody wants to be Iron Man. They all want
Of
it.
course.
If you got
That's the only
money,
reason
go
for the
for
frog
it.
to have rockets on his boots.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody's trying to be Iron Man now that Tony's gone. I mean, that's the plot of a whole comic.
Mhm.
And I guess, now Armor Wars is going to be a movie, and I'm guessing I have no idea, but at this point I kind of wonder if it is going to lay into all the people, remaking Iron Man suits now that Tony's gone, and we've got Riri and Rhodey. I'm hyped for that.
Yeah.
Goodness. Not to go off subject, I'm real excited to meet Riri in Wakanda Forever. Real excited.
Yes.
The whole movie's just going to be fantastic.
Well, I have a bit about that when we get to the next episode that I caught on the rewatch last night. Anyway.
Okay.
Awesome.
But like after that whole scene, we get another conversation between Jen and Matt up on the roof, and like, and of course that leads into the whole scene where she takes him home and they do their thing.
To quote Leapfrog again, ribbit and rip it.
Yeah.
Yes. You snuck it in there too.
Yeah. Yep.
I really appreciate their conversation on the roof. I feel like, again, this is a very important female representation bit in that, because he tells her, he's very respectful. He's like, I would like to take you to dinner first. And then Jen is the one who initiates, what if we skipped that? And it's very much, Jen is the one initiating. She's the one who wants to spend the night with Matt. He is not the one going, hey, maybe we should. And it's all very respectful to Jen again. And the show does not portray her as a hussy or a slut for this in any way. The only people who say that about her in the show are intelligentsia, the bad guys. But the show portrays it as it's very much okay for Jen to just want to spend the night with this attractive man she just met. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe they'd like to go to dinner, but that's not an option right now.
Yeah, because he
I
was
really
flying back to
appreciate
New
that.
York the next day.
I thought it was really sweet, really good.
And he's such a classy guy. He's like, I want to take you to dinner first, at least, because he knew.
Yeah.
And he didn't use any of his swagger on her. He's like, no, like he could have, But that's great.
Exactly. He's very respectful to her through the whole show, which I think goes back to what I was saying about they spend this whole episode meeting as equals. And I think that's where I have seen so many people this last week, or 2 weeks, I guess now, jump on that Matt and Jen train. And it's just taken off like a rocket on social media. And I'm all for it. It's great. And I'm just like, I think so much of it is just people going, look at the respect between these two characters.
Exactly.
And I like that he liked Jen. You know, it wasn't She-Hulk that he was about. It was Jen.
Yeah. He liked, but he's not being one of the people who is like distressed by She-Hulk at all or anything like that. He's very happy with that she is both. And I guess part of the reason he probably accepts that is because feels like he's a bit two different people when he's Matt Murdock versus when he's Daredevil. Potentially more so than some other heroes. He tends to treat himself a little differently as Daredevil. So that's probably part of where his, acceptance of that comes from.
Exactly.
And then you get the walk of shame, which I don't want to call it that almost, because like that is what it is.
Yeah.
But he's very shameless. He's whistling, he's greeting people. And I think that's the other thing that I enjoy about it.
It's so great because he didn't have to be in costume, but he still did. That's great.
The after credits sequence gives us the credits card with him and Nikki, where Nikki sees him and is like, "Ooh,
nice."
I love that bit. I love that he is just like, "Yep, nope, had a good night. Time to go back to New York."
Carrying his shoes.
He's very not ashamed, and I appreciate that entire bit.
Can you imagine Daredevil walking down your neighborhood? Like, who doesn't love that? Like, who is that guy? And they don't know him. Like, that's so great too. Like, his name isn't that known, at least in LA. That's so great. That's brilliant how they did that.
Oh yeah, I have to wonder if there's a certain degree of that's why they chose not to put the DD on his chest when he's over, and like does he have a separate suit where he's known as Daredevil in New York? Because or wearing a crest or something? Because I feel like not wearing the crest in Los Angeles is the smartest thing, right? Like, because Far From Home already kind of presents us this issue with Peter of when he's in Europe, he can't openly be Spider-Man. That's a very bad idea. People will click that he's there right now. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe Matt Murdock doesn't care that much. He's a bit of a loose cannon like that, but
Spider Monkey.
Yeah.
I loved how they threw the Red Hulk and Wolverine references in there.
Oh my goodness. I did geek out pretty hard over this.
Brilliant. She did so good.
I did not. Yeah, I think it's very funny because, again, that was them kind of predicting how the audience was going to react. Of course, the audience is going to spend this whole show predicting, oh, we're finally going to see Red Hulk. So they throw a little poke at it at the end of this episode. There's another Hulk, but it's red, maybe, is the twist. I think the only part here that kind of makes me go, wait, what? Is that apparently the gala was the next day. So you're telling me that Luke went back and crunched that dress through the night when he only had a mock-up last time Jen had seen him?
After being kidnapped.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I've done that before. I'm a cosplayer.
Yes.
So I feel like Luke pulled a cosplay crunch for Jen as thanks for saving his life.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Cosplay crunch. I love it.
Yep.
He also has employees who can help him, which, makes it easier.
True. Very true. But yeah, that whole gala scene, oh my god.
I like that. See, I feel like there were so many hints that Todd was Hulk King rewatching a second time. Like,
yeah,
he wasn't going away easy enough. I feel like I should have known he was something more. He kept popping up throughout the show. He's with Mallory. Yeah. He calls She-Hulk over. And then he's at the gala.
Yeah. I mean, I had suspicions about him, like, earlier episodes. Like, just his obsession over She-Hulk in general kind of was a red flag for me.
Yeah, I really thought it was just creepy guy red flag. I'm going to out myself. I did not consider him being Hulk King. I genuinely didn't. I feel like I should have. I feel like I missed a big lot of hints on that one.
What's his name? I think we were hoping it was the other character from the other Hulk movie. I can't think of his name now.
Leader?
Yeah.
Because I know Leader's been announced for New World Order, so there was suspicion that it could be Leader.
Mhm.
Or MODOK's been involved with Intelligentsia previously, things like that. Because Intelligentsia being an entity in comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did not think it would be Todd, but you know what? I'm kind of happy it's Todd, so at the end of the show. Okay, so there is a reveal in the finale, but there is the end of the show isn't focused on, oh, we've revealed this major villain, which is going to take away attention from Jennifer. At the end, this episode, this finale, like if you want to call 8 and 9 like almost a 2-part finale, because they really do kind of just run straight into each other.
Yeah.
It's still about Jen. There is no massive reveal that's stolen her spotlight. And I appreciate that, because as much as I love it when Marvel gives us a little reveal at the end of the show or something, I don't want everything to do that, or else it comes to be expected. Like, do not get me wrong. I lost my mind in the middle of a theater at the end of Multiverse of Madness, that after credits reveal. Just lost it. One of my highlights of this year, quite honestly.
Yay.
But I don't want all of them to do that.
Yeah,
it's true. You know, because even we had Daredevil, and he still didn't steal the show from her. Like, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really fine balance, because, you know, everybody wanted to see him come back. And I think he's in the show just enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even at the end when he launches, I'm here to help.
Incredible. And I really appreciate, because we already came forward and talked about Mallory's little speech at the gala. But I appreciate that even the presenter is just saying, they're like, oh, female lawyers, they do it backwards in high heels. And it's like, I love the sarcasm of this show, and the satire is the word I'm looking for. Sorry. I just love that this show is constant satire at like being a woman.
It made me think, is like, you got to make sure to say females, okay? And I was like, my goodness, I never even think of that, but that's so derogatory. You don't even think. And I was like, I'm trying to change my language. Like, I say females. It's like, females.
You're aware.
Right,
like I was saying, is that I think at the end, it's bringing awareness to the show. And you've clearly taken the message right.
Yeah.
I
felt
think
like Pug the whole time. Like, I can't do this.
Pug. I love show Pug. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also there's the cute little bit where they're announcing who's won the award, and they announce Jennifer first, and it turns out they've given it to several people, but you know, incredible moment, comedic timing, 10 out of 10.
But like the big twist that Jen said, like the whole sex tape thing, and just putting all her information out there for everyone to see. Her
parents being there. Oh my goodness. That's what his dad, like, or her dad, like, oh God, her parents are there. That's what made me rage out. Like, go, Jen.
I think I don't think it would have been a long time since a movie or a show made me feel the feelings that this episode did. Made me feel this dread, this stomach dropped, this... Because, you know, oh boy, okay, I'm gonna go into something for a second here. Forgive me. I, as much as I love it, had to take a break from Dan Slott's She-Hulk because of the Star Fox. Is that his name? Thanos' brother?
Yeah.
That's his name? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Star Fox arc. Because I love Dan Slott and I think he's a very good writer. But this idea that he put forward of what if She-Hulk was assaulted by Star Fox and didn't know it made me sick to my stomach at the time. And I had to put the book away for a few months because I was really upset that they would take a character who was so powerful and stood for strong women and just do that to her. And I know that the comic kind of turns out, oh, he never did it to Jen. He did it to several other women, but not to Jen.
Yeah.
But I still didn't like that they ever toyed with that. And I think because as much as I love a lot of Dan Slott's work, I think as a man, he just didn't really know how to write that in a way that wasn't incredibly depressing and disempowering like he did. Mm-hmm. But this show did not make me feel that way, despite the fact that in this show, Jen was actually assaulted. Even though in the Dan Slott comic, it turns out she was not. In this, she was. But I still did not feel leered at, and, you know, it didn't make me feel small like the Dan Slott book did. It didn't make me feel like they were depowering my hero in front of me. This made me feel poor Jen, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
It
I
was
really
just-
felt for her. Like,
I really think
felt so
female
bad
writing-
for her.
Yeah, I think the female writing team really knocked it out of the park on this one in how to write such a vulnerable scene without making women feel like their hero was not in control. Because Jen wasn't in control of what happened to her, but it felt like it was done with a much more sympathetic lens. Anyway, sorry to cut very deep there for a moment, but this scene, I think,
No, you're
is
good.
something really incredible, unlike what I have seen before. And like I said, I think I had to go through these emotions after I saw this episode, and I kind of just sat in a corner, like just sort of stared at the wall for like almost half an hour after this, going, oh my goodness, that happened. And I don't feel as weird about it as last time something similar happened to She-Hulk in media. It's a really good scene, and I think it makes a lot of women feel very seen, and, you know, because even while obviously nothing on this level, since I started cosplaying She-Hulk, the amount of rudeness to me on the internet has spiked like pretty notably.
Hmm.
And so like the show in that way, while what was happening to Jen was very different, it made me feel a little seen of, oh, okay, this is it was very good like that.
It
Yeah.
was-
It's an incredible episode. I think
Yeah.
a piece
Well,
of art.
And
like, even
like
when
just
she
the
caught
way
the
she
guy, and they didn't even
reacted.
care.
Like,
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, she even caught the guy that was doing it, and they didn't care. Like, they just like, nope, put him down. Put the guy that has a mask on. That's obviously part of whatever just
Yeah.
happens. Like, nope, we care about you right now and how you're reacting. And that I didn't like that at all.
I
Like,
agree.
she
That's
called
a
the
really
bad guy.
That's a very confronting bit where people just see the angry Hulk lady. They don't see the guy who's clearly part of this and hurt her. But that's kind of where what really got me was Mallory standing there going, don't do it.
do it.
Don't do it. And I think that's even more powerful because in this show, Mallory's not a white woman. Mallory knows what it's like to lose your cool once and forever be seen as that angry woman.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, God, I love Mallory in this show. She's incredible. That
I
is,
know I didn't want her to find out about that either. Like, don't tell her about intelligentsia stuff. Like, don't bug her with that. At first, like, why she wouldn't tell her about it? Now I know. I was like, don't even, like, that's not even a thing for her. Like, don't give him a chance. Don't give him an inch.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like that whole thing kind of relates back to what Bruce tells Jen, like in the beginning of the season.
Mhm.
Like, once you lose your cool, then that's the only thing that people will see you as.
Yep. To the point that they let somebody involved get away because that's all they saw. Man. And then I think my favorite fourth wall break in the entire series is when she makes eye contact with the audience as that episode ends. That about brought me to tears.
Yeah. Her face. You felt that. You felt her emotion in that moment.
Definitely.
It's even though she is CGI head to toe at that bit, that is some incredible acting from Tatiana there. That is that look that she gives is everything.
It felt, that it was so nerve-wracking because she's like, the episode's not over, and is building up that whole like, oh no, something bad is gonna happen.
Yep. It's because this episode goes from being one of the happiest, most fun, it's Daredevil, it's great, it's fun, leapfrog here, he's whatever, to this absolute gut punch. Oh, incredible. Just incredible. From a legal comedy sitcom of all things in this world.
But like I've said this in previous streams, like I said, it's been really refreshing to see like this type of show on TV right now.
Hmm.
Like, and I've been all for it. I've loved every single episode of this.
Hmm. I love how many people it's gotten in with this, haha, it's a funny lawyer show, and then gone, hey, here's some struggles that feminine people go through. And I think that's, again, it's just Marvel is out here making some important shows for people at the moment.
I think the
And
best
that's part of the
one-liners-
reason.
so many good one-liners. Like the comedy is like top notch. Like my
Mhm.
goodness, the way they land the lines, like she is so funny. I didn't know Tatiana was that funny. Like she really lands her lines.
She's very funny. They've got just an all-star cast on there.
Yeah.
Everybody in that show is just hilarious. I think currently I'm living for Jamila Jamil's social medias, and every time she posts a selfie where she's got her Titania wig on, and if she can catch a trash can in the background, she'll label it as Jennifer Walters. Like her Instagram is just full of selfies of her and her
Awesome.
Titania wig with trash cans
Awesome.
labeled Jennifer Walters.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
that woman.
Excellent.
Anyway,
All right. So, final episode now.
final episode.
Yes.
Hopefully not the last, because they do mention a season 2 in this episode. So,
They reference it.
yes.
I don't know if you've seen yet. I looked up last night if there'd been any announcements yet, because I didn't want to not know if there had been like an actual announcement. I figured people probably would have sent it to me by the bucket loads, but I wanted to double check, and I found out that somebody asked Jessica Gao, the showrunner, are you making a season 2, like right after the finale aired? And she said, I think this is how people who have kids must feel. I'm still in the hospital. I just gave birth. Give me a minute. And then, of course, the news article took this as, oh, Jessica Gao won't be doing season 2. It's like, she's not saying that. She's not saying that. Do not twist her words. This woman is a gift to us all. Give her a second to recover.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jessica Gao for making my life better.
Yeah. All right. So the opening scene of this finale was directly a nod to the Incredible Hulk TV show from the 70s, and I loved it.
It was so good, the Savage She-Hulk, and my favorite part was the bit where she's like pursued by online trolls.
Yeah, it's like She-Hulk sucks. Like, no, you suck. That was
Yeah.
incredible.
An old 90s computer, or like an
Yes.
80s. I don't know how old that computer would be. Absolutely incredible opening.
Mhm.
Stunning. I saw that the actor who played She-Hulk in that bit is like actually just a fitness trainer in real life or something, and like now that's like their whole social media is like, I am the Savage She-Hulk, and I'm like, good
Yes.
for
Yeah.
you, good for
Yes.
you.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Love it. So, like, I'm pretty sure that was like a dream that she was having, because we see her wake up in the Department of Damage Control cell that Emil Blonsky was in, and all her
Yeah.
friends come and like say, "Hey, how are you?" like, and say that they're willing to drop all the charges in the plea deal, that she agrees not to turn into She-Hulk again and wear the inhibitor. So, I mean, So.
Can I express some appreciation for how well Pug delivers the line about, I managed to remain incredibly calm considering I was calling the freaking Hulk. The delivery on that is Pug's best bit in the whole show, probably. And I love this Pug. I think he's wonderful.
Pug
He's
won me
great.
over with the, and this is the best places to poop. Like, I love him from that moment on.
Pug is so good. He's just, I think we're really lucky to have such a wonderful supporting cast in this show all around. But
definitely.
incredible bit. More of Mallory just being incredible, supportive but serious.
Mhm.
That's all they saw.
Yeah. Jen's parents outside, like, it's okay, honey. People go to prison every day.
Tail. It's great. I love them.
They're so cute.
Yes. Win for the perfect strangers. It's awesome. This whole episode was actually what I thought the whole show was going to be like. And because that's all we saw in the previews. And I loved every second of this last episode. It was like, this is such a comic book episode in so many ways. I love it.
It was incredibly comic book because, man, this woman's been talking back to writers since the 80s. You know,
Yeah.
what? That's like, it probably would have been, Gabby, help me out. Or what year is the John Burns She-Hulk comic? That's early 80s, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
It would be about,
1980, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like 1981 or 1980 to 1982, somewhere in that ballpark.
Mhm.
So it's been about 40 years. She has been talking back, trying to crawl out of panels to beat up John Byrne. I think it's in Dan Slott's run that she meets Stan Lee, and he's basically God.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
How good if he would have still been around to give us a cameo in this episode.
Oh.
Yeah, because that was his last character he created, I believe.
Oh, was she? I didn't know that.
I believe so, right?
Wow.
And that was 1980, I want to say. And he did it just because the show was so popular and he was worried DC was going to make a She-Hulk of a sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I didn't know she was his last.
Yeah, 'cause I think the one you have, Abby, back there, I think that's, I'm not sure if he wrote that one, but I think that's the only one he wrote. The Savage She-Hulk #1. I want to say, I'm not 100%.
Oh, sorry, but the one Gabby has back there, I'm like, I don't have any of the old ones.
Well,
You know, the
beautiful.
collection, but yeah.
I love it.
She wasn't talking back yet at that point. That didn't really start happening until Burn, but
Mhm.
that was what blessed us with the conception of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, can I mention I appreciate sorry.
Like, oh, I just loved her room so much, with all the posters and everything.
Oh.
That was great, dude. That was a lot of cool, fun stuff in there.
That was very fun. That was very good. I appreciate Nikki being a good best friend and stealing all the food and drinks from the company kitchen on Jen's way out. She's like, but I'm still going to work here.
Yeah, I gotta get paid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Little bits of heartbreak as you see Jen move back home and realize everything's crumbling, because I think it has more impact because we do get that episode 8 of her getting like one whole episode to happily coexist as Jen and She-Hulk before it all comes down.
Yeah. And it all just kind of smacks her in the face, like she loses her job, she moves back in with her parents, and
Yep, exactly.
Oh, you can't turn into Girl Hulk anymore.
That was fun. Because again, that's going back to that she started to really care about the She-Hulk title. And it's, yeah.
Well, I love that she asked us, like, this is what you guys wanted. Like, that was so beautiful. Like, I really felt her in that moment because I knew who she was talking to. Like, oh, that was great.
The fourth wall breaks are good all through the show, but her connecting with the audience in this last couple of episodes, those are some really good conversations.
Most definitely.
And the voiceover guy from the 80s TV.
Oh, I love that he tried to
that's
start out. That's very good.
We're not going that far. So, like, then she, like, decides to try to get a hold of Bruce again, because she hasn't heard from him in like a while, and no answer from him. And then she tries Blonsky and no answer from him either. So she's like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to the retreat. It's a mental health break.
Yeah, I like that. She just did it.
I did like that a lot. And then you get just right before that, they introduced the idea, the clip of Jen, the video Jen and her friends made being silly in law school.
Yeah.
I think, look, I can't speak. I don't know if men do this. I think all women have made at least one video like that in their lifetimes.
I'm wondering if that was from her show, the clone show that she was on, Orphan Black, or not. I meant to ask my wife because she watched the show religiously, because it looked like one of her characters from that show when she was doing that. And I just wanted, I meant to look more, research it a bit more. Yeah,
that sounds like the sort of thing they do.
Yeah, you know.
Could.
And also we get the little bit of Dennis Bukowski just continuing to be a leech of a man on the news.
My
Using
gosh.
Jennifer Fane like, oh yeah, she was crazy.
Yeah, long before she got her powers, and we even dated for a while. Like,
Oh, I love to hate Dennis.
Mm,
I really love to hate
does it
Dennis.
well.
gosh.
Also, a little bit where you get to see that she's got Bruce saved as Smug Hulk in her phone is very funny.
That was great.
But I love like when she had her like billboard up with all the, like everything connect trying to connect back to Hulk King for Intelligentsia, and she's like, I want to find out who they are and like sue them like legally, not illegally.
Yeah.
And Nikki's like, by any and all means, like we have to get these people. Just like no. No.
We do appreciate Nikki's support throughout this show.
Yes. She's the best bestie.
But like the fact that she leaks that video of Jen in college to the Intelligentsia site just to bait Hulk King.
It was genius.
Yes. I was like,
Right, genius.
To be honest, for a split second, I thought that she was like secretly
Same.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
not good. And I'm like, oh my God, really?
I know she did that same scene like made you question it for half a second. It really was well done.
Yeah.
I
was
appreciate.
like, oh no, okay, she's just baiting him, so we're good.
And if you read all the comments running on the side after she posts the video, I just appreciate how uncomfortably spot on all the troll comments throughout this entire show are.
Yeah.
Like they already assume he's a guy. He's like, come on, bro, let's go. Like, I love it. They really did a good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
But Hulk King took the bait and told her where the event was, and so she drags Pug into this and makes him go in there and try to like mingle and like try to get info about who Hulk King is, and eventually we find out that it's in fact Todd. So
he's like, they're gonna notice my earplugs. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be the only one wearing that in there.
That was a very good line. Am I the only one who feels like a fool for not realizing they were at the retreat sooner?
No, goodness, no. I mean, it was the exact same room, but I didn't put it together either.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm like, oh, well, that was, and especially because you could even see it before they revealed it. There's the guy, meditating on the poster board behind Todd. I was like, because it didn't really click with me until watching it again last night. You should have figured it out when Pug didn't have service on his phone. We spent a whole episode setting up that there's no service out there.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it didn't really click with me until he's like, oh, there's a private event that, Emil's at tonight down on the other side of the retreat. And that's when I went, oh.
I think that's they did a good job building up so much confusion. Even she was like, wait, this is happening. Now this is happening. I love how they did that. And that was exactly, they tricked us that same way.
I appreciate all the commentary going on during that sequence. It's just going off the rails. It's bringing in literally everybody. It's, I really appreciate how we handle Abomination through this next sequence.
Yeah.
He is taking off his inhibitor. He is doing bad things. I feel like he did not do any research about Intelligentsia before speaking to this gig. Because even rewatching it, because like the first time he walks in, I think I was so busy going, oh, he's with them. Emil, you've broken my heart. Oh no. That I didn't really realize the way he was speaking to the guys is sort of just, hey, I've been told you're all meeting your goals and you're not satisfied with your place in the world. So
yeah.
Obviously, he's a fool who didn't do research on who these guys were before taking the job. And Abomination is not a good man, and he is not doing good things. But he is not so evil that he was going to let Jen get hurt either.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I appreciate the space he is now occupying in the Marvel Universe, that he is, genuinely not actively trying to hurt the Hulks anymore. he was going to go still speak in an event of people who were actively trying to hurt Jen
Yeah.
because that cash.
It's a speaking
Yeah.
engagement. But even when he first saw her, he like transformed back down, like almost in shame, like, oh,
Yeah.
Jen,
Yeah.
oh, like I don't want to be here. Like, I
Oh,
don't want you touching me with these guys.
Yep. And he does give Jen that very non-apology of, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way when she said I vouched for you. But I think Emil is not a good man, but he has turned over a new leaf. He's still doing that hustle. The almighty dollar is his end goal in all of this.
Mhm.
And he
Yeah.
needs to research his clientele more thoroughly.
yeah.
But I really appreciate the space that he occupies in this finale, that he is not a full adversary, but he's selfish. He's still Emil Blonsky.
He's got to pay
Mhm.
for the retreat somehow.
Yeah. Exactly.
And yeah, Todd hulking up to Hulk King is like a moment of, okay, we're gonna do
Okay,
this.
we're doing that. Okay.
But Jen's just speaking for the whole audience during this point,
Well,
and Titania
yeah.
shows up and it's like, why?
The guy's like, I
And
don't
then
care
Bruce
about
just
lady
shows
power.
up out of nowhere, and then Titania and
Bruce
like
the ceiling.
everyone's there. She's like, "What is going on?"
Well, even the
I'm
guys
sure we were the
complain.
only ones that the Disney Plus menu comes up and you go, did I sit on my remote?
Yeah, I actually thought that too. I was like, "Wait, did we just get kicked out or something?"
Yeah.
Yep, which
Out
I
of the
shouldn't
show.
have thought. I shouldn't have thought that because the Disney Plus menu looks different in the US to Australia a little, not a lot, but like a little bit.
Yeah.
And what way they have on the show is the US Disney Plus menu. And
Mhm.
afterwards I was like, oh, that doesn't even look like the menu in my country. I shouldn't have. But it was just kind of like a gut reaction of, the remote, what happened to it?
Yeah, but then we heard her talking, and then we just see Jen just pop out
I
of
love that so
her
much.
title, and I was like, "Yeah, she's literally coming through."
Yes. I wish that happened every time I put on Disney Plus now. I was like, I want her swinging those.
They really should have a bit where, if you scroll over her show, she punches the screen out and is there.
Yeah. Man, I'll pay
It'd be
extra.
cute if they did
Whatever.
that. If they did that for like a season 2 when that drops, just like that'd be cute.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really awesome to see. And then she like literally shows up in the production crew room there. Like, this is great.
It was
Yes.
very good. And when she drops into that show, that's the shot that was our trailer first reveal of the suit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched that shot an unholy amount of times. Like the amount of time I've spent staring at it, trying to dissect the details of that suit, that I went, it's
Yeah.
the moment.
Yes.
You knew.
Finally.
Love it. It was cool seeing Mickey too with Walt Disney. Like that was really neat to see that. Like I really enjoyed the little things that were in the backgrounds. And nobody cared. She was just She-Hulk walking around like, oh, it's just She-Hulk.
I didn't notice the first time I watched, but when I watched last night, I realized when she enters the writer's room, somebody says, isn't she supposed to have an inhibitor?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta rewatch that. Oh goodness, that's funny.
Because they're acknowledging that basically when she cuts to the Disney menu, the inhibitor just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Well, I think did she break it or something right before she smashed through? She's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
get rid of this inhibitor. Or
It's
something
got to be
like
Yeah,
something
she's
like
like-
that.
Which I'm like,
Yeah.
how did she take it off? Like, don't you need a little more power? I wasn't sure how that whole thing worked or not, but I just was so happy that she smashed through. I didn't care. Like, yes, bring all these things on. This is what I wanted the whole time.
Oh man, I was sitting there like, they're doing this. They are going full tilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe they actually went there. And I think it's amazing because I think if we'd made this TV shows 10 years ago, they couldn't have gotten away with this insanity. This show
Yeah.
has been made in the perfect time where Marvel is so
Mhm.
well established. The studio has more money than God. They can do whatever and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And it's just complete free reign to make something absurd and beautiful like this show.
Yes. Like, no one talks to Kevin.
Oh my goodness, the line, the story is what Kevin wants, and you're sitting there like,
But like the whole
And
idea.
the music, there's like, was it the Big D Energy music that came on when she was like that was such awesome timing. Oh my goodness.
Very good.
Oh, love it.
Everybody signs the NDA.
Yeah. And all those guys come in to like stop her from seeing Kevin.
Well, did you
She
notice that
just
the lady
goes right
security
to them.
guard tried to do the Black Widow move?
Yes, the first one.
Yeah.
She was the first one trying to love it.
Love
I
it.
like that. Actually, I like that the first one that came at her was a female. I was like, look at that.
Yes.
I love that.
It was very good. The security to get into Kevin's office. And I mean, I was genuinely fully just expecting it to be actual Kevin Feige on the other side, but what they did was
Me
better.
too.
Oh,
What
gosh.
they did was
The little hat on there. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
done right now.
That's great.
standing for Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus.
Yes.
Like, how long did you all sit around and discuss what Kevin's acronym was going to stand for?
Marvel loves their acronyms.
I meant to check. I want to know, did Kevin voice Kevin? I meant to check. I forgot.
Too. I don't think
I
so,
don't
but
know.
I feel like it should have. It was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
And I very much liked it very early on there. He's like, you must transform back into Jennifer. And she's like, why? He's like, you're expensive.
That was
Yeah.
great.
When
Oh my
the camera's not looking at you.
Visual effects team has already moved on to the next project.
That's what I was going to say earlier about Wakanda Forever. Again, I didn't catch it the first time I watched it, but the little Wakanda drum beat plays when he says that.
yeah.
He's insinuating they've moved on to Wakanda Forever.
Sorry, my doggy.
Oh, doggies.
And
But,
Jennifer
like,
says
that-
she wants to make her closing argument.
Because it's a legal comedy. I mean,
It's a legal comedy.
he's like, I saw what you
Like,
did
if you
there.
want to call it that.
This entire sequence it's really glorious. And I think my only thing about this episode is I would have loved an extra 10 minutes for like
Yeah.
after she goes back and like, you know,
Yeah.
how they get to the next morning sort of, although I'm assuming what kind of happens is it seems they do just kind of, she fast forwards to the next morning because she tells the writer she wants to fast forward to the next morning. But
Yeah.
an extra 10 minutes would have been nice, but that's literally my only just a little more on the last episode,
Yeah.
a little teeny bit more. That's it.
Little
Otherwise, amazing, perfect.
Yes.
Mhm. Like I like how she's like arguing with Kevin about like how like almost every Marvel like movie or so like it kind of like ends the same way, like it's kind of revolves around the same story in a way. She's like, I want to make this like my own, like
Hmm. It's always an action-packed ending.
Yeah,
And I think,
always
again, they were oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. The villain always takes over your powers. It's always the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we haven't seen so much of that in recent parts of Marvel as much as we used to in like early phases.
Yeah.
But I still think it's very funny that they went there because once again, they're just predicting what the audience says because there's so many people out there who just chirp all Marvel is the same. It's like, well, cool. Have you watched any Marvel since Endgame? No. Okay, that's fine. But do you get to comment on what's currently happening in Marvel if you haven't watched any for 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I like that bit that when Kevin says, I'm the one that makes all the decisions and like I produce near perfect products and I'll leave that debate up to the internet.
That was very good.
Yeah.
I would think they're like, are they going to drop a name of one?
Yeah.
Are they going to name drop somebody? Because, oh boy, do I have to go fight a robot from a show?
But
He
like
was even mad, like you blew up my whole perfect ending.
It's really fun like that. And I do like that they just decide to go because, you know, pretty much every Marvel movie, though, does end in a big fight with a few exceptions. That's the reason the first Doctor Strange is one of my favorites is because he just annoys the villain into submission.
Yes. Yes.
But I appreciate that they just specifically go, no, there's no big fight. We're getting rid of that because this is a show about Jen and her emotional journey. And you've gotten to see her fight a couple of times, but this is about
Yeah.
Jen's emotion. Sorry, it's raining and it's just hitting the roof a bit hard.
Oh, it's okay.
Well, it is different because usually the villains die or something happens, but here she legally beat him, and that's what we want to see. Like she took down
Yeah.
the top guy, and he went to jail. Like it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
much he's got.
I mean, like even after that, where after she changed everything, she confronts Todd and like for a split second he thinks that, or like, oh crap, I'm dead. And
Yeah.
she's like, I'll see you in court. I'm gonna destroy you the right way and
Yeah,
not beat the crap out of you.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Daredevil lands. I'm here to help.
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
she did
I-
say she would wanted to see him again, so they
I
made
do
it
like that
happen.
when she's building her perfect ending. And I like that she's like, oh, we're going to do it in the daytime. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was lighting things up here. That was brilliant.
And also
good.
she's like, I have some ideas about how season 2 should be. And then also she asks Kevin, like, when are we getting the X-Men? Like,
And then thumbs up in the audience is it, because I feel like deeply she wasn't asking that for her. She was asking that for the audience.
She knew.
for us.
Also, even funnier considering the classic She-Hulk cover is her threatening to rip up X-Men comics.
Yes.
There's a precedent not just for her breaking the fourth wall, but of her breaking the fourth wall about X-Men.
Yes, dude. And she's like, and smashing Daredevil. I'm like, oh, that is
Oh, yep. I
amazing.
smashed fourth walls and Matt Murdock, and oh, that was funny.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Like her comedic timing is amazing.
That entire sequence is very funny, and her just running circles around a little robot.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being here, Robert.
Yeah, and I do love that. I love that Daredevil and Hulk, these guys, they don't show up until the problems are solved.
Yeah.
Jen gets to solve her own problems, and then like her cousin's there because she cares about him, and
Yeah.
Matt is here to support her, not to fix things for her. Again, as equals.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a theme.
Like, oh, Matt,
I
every
also-
man this way.
I also very much enjoyed Kevin's joke about that. I will see you on the big screen. Not really.
Yeah.
Because even his eyes like bent down a little bit. He's like, not really. I was like, oh.
Not really.
I do think we'll probably see her in a movie at some stage, but
Yeah.
I hope she goes in the Daredevil show.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I'd really love to see her pop up in Born Again. That would be excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause from what we can tell, they're kind of dating in a sense. I think maybe long distance.
Yeah, no, he's like there having dinner with her family, staying for a week.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, they're
Yeah.
I've never seen
kind
a
of
Okay.
dating.
parents
That's
before.
cute.
Any whole three
So
seasons,
awesome.
never met anybody else's parents.
Very cute. Also, just a quick shout out to Titania's, still being there the next morning. Just like, hi, Daredevil.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
killed
she
me.
knew he was.
But then we also see Blonsky get sent back to prison
Yep.
for breaking his violating his parole.
Mm-hmm. And just that it was just Blonsky. Blonsky doesn't need to have anything terrible happen to him. He just needs to be accountable. That Jen only wants him to be accountable.
Yeah.
That was real good. I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
And then, you get the family barbecue. You get Matt with the family. It's all very funny, very cute, very sweet. And, we do get a new character reveal. We do. But like I said, I think it's one that doesn't take away the attention from Jen on the last episode. Although I did gasp and audibly go, oh my gosh, because I was really shocked they went there. I'm not overly familiar with Scar. I am aware of him. I've seen some of that Agents of Smash cartoon, so I know who he is. And I know just enough about him to know he's an obscure little dude, and it's kind of wild that they went there.
Yeah.
I know enough about him and his origins to know this is a choice.
Yes. And that even Kevin wanted, like, we're going to introduce, like, no, save it for the movie. Like, that was
Yeah.
such a funny.
Save it for the movie.
Yes.
No, I was happy. I actually love all the kids, the heroes, because they came out as villains technically, and he was part of the Secret Avengers on the comic books. So they thought he was a bad guy, but he was really a Secret Avenger with Cap. So really, really cool. Scar is a great, great character. And there's one Yeah, there's one Dark Avengers, I think one of the later timelines where they transform him back to a human child, and it's like the human child version of him because he is just a kid. So it's
Mhm.
really, really amazing to see that. So I was very happy to see Scar. I jumped up. I'm like, Scar.
I'm really glad to hear that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated to know a little more.
yeah. 'Cause they basically have the Young Avengers now. They basically have them all.
Basically,
Whole
yeah.
roster right
Yeah.
there.
I still really want Teddy though. I really want Teddy.
Yes.
Like,
But yeah, we had Hulk and Daredevil in the same. Like, I was like, oh, dude, that's so wild. I didn't think that was ever gonna happen. Never thought that would happen.
no.
They didn't even care. They didn't even say hi or nothing. He's like, oh, there's Hulk over there.
Yeah.
It's in the
Yeah.
canon bathroom.
We've had some really just wild things in the MCU lately. They just, like I said, they can just kind of do whatever now, and it's a pretty brilliant place to be.
It's refreshing. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
this
'cause
whole
there's
show
no
has been
5 years.
refreshing.
Yeah. There's 5 years unaccounted for, as far as we know.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good. I wasn't aware of that.
There's 5 years that we had no idea what happened where everybody was gone.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Too loud.
Yeah, but I love that we didn't spend too much of the show talking about, what Hulk was up to. He didn't take any of her spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that was, a worry. It was a concern I had, was about people watching this show for more Bruce, because it is kind of a shame that I feel like Bruce hasn't gotten as much attention as a lot of the other Avengers. His movie's older. It's a little bit rougher than some of the others. Ragnarok is the best Hulk movie. I was kind of worried about him stealing the spotlight from Jen in this show, but he just kind of goes away and has just enough in it to be really wonderful without taking over. And it'd be nice if we get a little bit more of Bruce in future, and I think we will. Mark Ruffalo said he's willing to pretty much play the character as long as they'll have him.
Yeah, it would be nice to see more Jen and Bruce. Like,
I love their dynamic.
Like,
it's so
they're
good.
I think a
like
whole
they
family.
play off of each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me the Hulk family. I want them all.
Yeah.
Agents of Smash.
I mean, we could genuinely, like the way this is going, you could just do an Agents of Smash in future. Maybe that'll be the Hulk movie, is it won't be a Jennifer movie or, a Bruce movie. It'll be a, them and Scar and, if we want to bring back Ross in some capacity, plenty of people that we could bring in. I'd love to see Betty come back. I really love Red
You like
She-Hulk.
Liv Tyler is Betty.
It'd be really good.
Yeah.
Except I really like for that. I haven't read it personally, but I'm aware that for a time, Red She-Hulk went by Hellion.
Yeah.
And why don't we call her that instead? That's a much better name than 2 identifiers in front of Hulk.
Yeah.
Or she's currently the more bird-like creature Harpy. We can do that. Let's make her bird-like and make her Harpy instead. That's better.
Yeah.
Makes her a little bit different too. Although that said, I appreciate, not to derail with another character, that in Betty and Jen, you have 2 different types of angry women, which is kind of like your representation. You've got Jen, who's really generally quite got it under control, although, we have bits like the end there where she, gets really upset about what happens and goes Hulk, as anyone would. But you've got Betty, who's pretty unashamedly angry all the time and doesn't see a problem with it. And I appreciate that about her greatly.
I mean, I don't know if this is a possibility, but we could see a Planet Hulk or World War Hulk movie.
I know a lot of people are saying World War Hulk now that we have Scar. But if we do see something like that, man, the way Marvel always goes, they'll give you a title that's based on a classic comic, but then it'll be so different that it's basically, a slightly different version of the same thing, a different version of, they're hitting key elements without directly copying it.
Yeah.
And I know that upsets some people because they want a direct comic book copy in live action, but I really like the way they do it, because they're like, I don't want to just see the story I already know. Tell me a different story with key points I like. like the way they've done, Civil War, the way
Infinity
they've
War.
done She-Hulk's a great example. Infinity
Yeah.
War,
Anyway,
it's key points. Yeah, without just retelling the same thing beat for beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me excited for the interactions they can make because they can really make it fun and so deep and meta. Like, all those things at once.
Absolutely. It's refreshing for the Marvel to breathe new life into stories you already love.
Yeah. Yes. Give me the A-Force, baby.
Oh my, please. Oh my goodness.
Right?
If we get an A-Force movie at some point, well, honestly, okay.
It could.
Sorry, not to derail again, but the little girl at the end of Love and Thunder, she looks like, oh my goodness, why is her name escaping me?
I know you're talking about from the A-Force.
Oh my goodness, I should know her name. I feel really embarrassed. I've told a few people, like, look at this photo. This is her. And she has to do with Incursions, which, Steven was drug along guilt. But again, I'm not claiming to predict or know that's definitely what's going to happen. But there are a lot of pieces on the board that tell us that Incursions and Doctor Doom will likely be something in Marvel in the future. So I think...
Yes, please.
And yeah, I think we're going to get, pieces of stories we love retold a little differently. I'll absolutely lose my mind if we get an A-Force movie. Amazing.
Yes. I think that would really blow just the lid off everything.
I think it would. And if we do something that is, pieces of the, oh my goodness, the Battle World story, if we did something that is kind of in that ballpark in future, you have, because Loki has already laid the groundwork for variants and things like that. Yeah. So you can just throw in characters that we don't have an excuse to make a movie for otherwise. But like Spider-Gwen's a great example. Everyone knows she exists, but there's not a lot of reason to put her in live action right now. But if we had a Battle World sort of thing go off,
bam,
you can just throw her in there because she's well known enough visually to the public now.
Yeah.
She's on the A-Force.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I'm just so excited to see what they do with all these characters, if they're planning a season 2 or not, which I'm praying that they are, because I just want more.
I agree. And I refuse to. Everybody keeps telling me, like, I'm getting, especially on Instagram, I'm getting pretty frequent because every time I'm like, oh, it's over now, people are like, oh, there will be a season 2. And I'm like, I refuse to celebrate until it's officially announced.
Yeah.
Like, I believe you. I think it will.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go, can't wait for next season until it comes from Marvel's own, official sources of, season 2 is coming.
Yeah, because they're pushing so much stuff back, like waiting 4 years for another season. Like, oh, that's going to be torture.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they just delayed all those movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which in a sense, it's good. Yeah, because they want to make it a little bit better, tighter.
Yeah, I hope that, the delays ultimately result in, better working conditions for the people who are helping on these movies. Yeah. So I'm all for it if that's what happens, but it will make me a little sad if I have to wait several years for the next She-Hulk. But
yeah,
I love her
Hopefully
so much.
We'll see her by then.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that this show exists and what this show has given us. It is everything that I hoped it would be from the time it got announced, from every time they have announced a new cast member or somebody who was working on, set or the writer's room. It's made by a really incredible team of people, and I think it is something very special that brings something important and necessary to the MCU.
Yes, agreed.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm like, I didn't realize it when I watched it the first time, but the like post-credit scene.
Oh yes, Wong and
we can see Wong again, which I really loved Wong
taking a meal away. It's good.
Well, I'm hoping they do like they did with Scarlet and Vision or WandaVision, where it really got into the Doctor Strange movie. That was kind of the second part of that. So I'd like
Yeah.
to see something like that with She-Hulk, where like that's just a little part for this movie, and you'll know everything you need to know, and she'll just be in there.
I agree completely. I think that is the sort of thing we're heading towards with these shows.
Yeah, they're just adding little like Easter eggs in there and references and like it'll I think it'll all pay off in the end, like when the movies start coming out more. And we'll see like all the end results of everything that they've been building up to. So
yeah, I agree. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
gosh.
Good time to be a Marvel fan.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Well, it's
comics
like
and
when
movies are both good.
Daredevil shop popped up in Spider-Man, and we were like, oh my God, like that'll
That
be the
was-
She-Hulk moment when she comes up to defend you. Like, oh, that's your lawyer.
All right. Well, I mean that's all I have about
The
it.
show.
Unless anyone has any
Yeah.
final thoughts.
It's pretty much what I said, that I'm thankful this show exists.
She-Hulk smash.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, I want to thank both of you for being here today. It was so much fun
Yes.
talking about this with you, and
Thank
and
you for
everything,
having
so.
me. It has been a pleasure.
Ditto.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I hope to do more of these like review shows in the future. So, if any of you want to join me for that, you're more than welcome.
Fun. Yeah.
Yes.
But y'all, I just want to say, like, for those of you who's watching, go check out Allie Whoops and Freaky Louie on Instagram, because they're both amazing.
Thank you.
We're cosplayers.
Yeah, and failed to mention that Louie is also a cosplayer too. So
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Yes. Yeah, I'm a Spidey guy.
Oh,
Mostly
yeah.
Spidey cosplayer.
all right, so thank you guys so much for watching, and again, we'll see you guys next time. So
All right. See ya.
Bye, guys.
all right, bye.
Bye. Enough said.